It's really hard to accept the fact that art alone is not the reason someone's going to follow you. It's not the only reason someone's going to pay you, because to artists, to us, it feels like art should be enough. Art is enough for us. But the fact of the matter is, for the average art buyer or someone who's trying to experience art, but they themselves are not a creative, they're not an artist, the way they interact and explore the art world is just different. They explore it similarly to how they explore consumerism, because ultimately that's what's happening. It is a version of consumerism that you're buying a product. Now, that product can be an experience, that product can be a physical good like your prints. And what is the hardest to accept is the fact that the story of you matters more than the artwork most of the time. I want you all to go look at the account Haley Dooley.
A few months ago, I decided to leave teaching and open an art studio in my garage. Here it is. We're about to have our first Friday art recess.
Haley has 23,000 followers, and she got the bulk of them from one video in particular. And it's because her story is compelling. She's extremely authentic. She doesn't hide her emotions. She doesn't hide who she is. I bet you if she could have had a link in her bio when that happened, she would have sold a lot of art during. But what she is finding is that her storytelling content does get views, but her average art content stays around the 300 to 400 view jail. And for me, the answer seemed very clear. People love Haley, and I have to say, I do too. I've actually been able to get to know Haley a little bit more because she's very active in my community. She's very authentic. We're both mothers, and that's what makes me feel connected to her. We're both artists. We're both mothers. Now, Haley's target audience is not artists the same way that mine is. She is more so trying to sell her artwork online, direct to her mail club. She does live painting. She does a lot of stuff, which also same. I get it. I do a lot of stuff. Haley's currently going through what I like to call a viral hangover, especially for smaller creators who have not gone viral before. Usually it's their first video that's popped off, maybe even their second. They have this big moment and they don't know why it took off so well, and then they don't know how to recover. So the videos following stay around that 300, 400 view mark. And that is because of something that is called a parasocial promise. Stick with me, it's a newer one that I just learned about, or I've had the idea for a minute. A parasocial promise is someone follows your account because there's an unspoken promise between you and that follow button. If someone follows you from a particular video, that means they want to see more of that particular video. Something that you can do on TikTok, we'll have to look into this on other platforms, is you can go into your analytics and you can look at the videos where you got the most followers from. With Haley, it's easy. We can see where these came from.
Hi, I'm Haley, and I'm an art teacher that resigned from my job to pursue art full time, and I want to tell you about my first art festival.
It was that video where a microburst took out her entire first art festival show. And I'm so sorry, Haley, that sucked. But people connected with her. They followed her. And it's really good that this happened with an art related video. The first thing you should always do that Haley did, she stayed engaged in those comments and she was doing video replies to a lot of them to show off her artwork, to show off her process, to talk more about what she's going to do in the future. Problem is the story and art gap. She's really good at storytelling. She's really good at art, but she hasn't connected the two yet. And that can feel really weird and vulnerable, but it is important. Even if the reason that you're talking about creating something is that you liked it, you thought it was really aesthetic, you can absolutely do that. Haley could show off her artwork talking about how she's been an art teacher for years. And I would start targeting more so mothers of children. You are a mother of children, and that is a really easy way to connect with people because your target audience for teaching your summer camps, for example, is not necessarily the child, but it's actually the parent that is signing them up for that camp. I would talk frequently about what kids are doing in your garage summer camp, which I know summer's over at this point, or at least it is for my kids, but use this as an opportunity to show off the growth from your kids' summer camps. I just did that workbook, the This Is Not a Sketchbook, It's an Art Class thing. Lauren Horn had us do a self-portrait at the beginning, a self-portrait at the end, and it was to track progress. You could do something very similar. Ask a child to do a particular project in the beginning, and then have them do a similar project at the end. Sorry, I have a kitty cat rubbing against the tripod. It's my orange cat. He's just being really orange. Showing that progression is kind of like your social proof. You can put that on your website, you can put that on social media, and you can talk about it often, and you can show the same results frequently. Because remember, especially if you're only getting 300 or 400 views at a time right now, that's 300 to 400 different people every time you post it. Lastly, Haley's doing a lot, which you can do a lot in your content. I actually think people should do a lot in their content, but only if you kind of have a rhythm to the madness, because otherwise it can start to feel really discouraging when you're putting a lot of effort into certain things and they just don't do well. But if you're putting a lot of effort into your mail club content, summer camp content, talking about your garage renovation, which is coming along beautifully, by the way, live wedding paintings, if you're posting all of those things without a particular direction, you can start to get burnt out and discouraged. I would really boil it down to 3 things for now. You can always bring them back. One of the issues with having a viral hangover that you gained followers from is that other than that one video, you don't have a lot of data yet. I'm going to show you how to start tracking your data so you can make educated decisions. This is actually something I'm setting up to do with Taylor Jakeway Art, Philly Art Dad, and Curly at Griot Goods, because I'm redoing how these audits are going to work. It's going to start being 3-month-long ordeal where we work together with your audits. My children are older. It's easier for me to be on the phone now. All I want you to do is start an Excel sheet, a really basic one. You can even write this in a notebook. Write down the the date of your video, generally what the topic was about, how many views, likes, shares, and comments it got after the first 24 hours, check again in a week, check again in a month. Put this equation into your Excel sheet and it will track your engagement rate. Anything above 8%, perfect. Keep doing that. Even if it's 8.1%, remake the exact same video again, but a month later and see how that one does. It is okay to repeat yourself. It's okay to copy yourself. It is not plagiarism if it's coming from you. It's how you can experiment and test what does and does not work. Then try the same video again, but change the topic, keep the format. So for Haley, she was crying in her car talking about this terrible thing that happened at the festival she was at. Well, car talking head videos are actually very popular anyway. So what if people want to hear from Haley, hear her tell stories, but she's in her car just yapping? It's very low effort. It's easy to make. It's easy to pump out a lot of content like this. And then even if you did want to show artwork and stuff, you can still do overlays without having to have the physical piece on you. It feels really casual. It feels like a FaceTime. Now, if Haley tries that same format multiple times and it's just not working, then yeah, we can ditch the car. One dangerous spot that we can get into is like people only come to her for a sad story, because we don't want Haley to feel sad all the time. She is authentic. She's bubbly. She's bright. She's actually one of the sweetest people I think I've ever met on the internet. Like, genuinely just a ray of sunshine. I don't like to see her cry, but also it's that empathy that got everyone engaging. So we want to evoke emotion without having to always be emotional. So you can talk about feelings without having to have those feelings, but being passionate is what's going to back that up. And I really think that's the only difference between the stories Haley tells about situations that's going on in her life versus when Haley talks about her artwork is the passion. When we are done tracking your data, it'll end up looking something like this. Any idea you've worked more than twice with under an 8% engagement rate, ditch it. Retest a couple of times, see if it's the format that worked or if it was the subject that worked. There are a lot of different ways you can test this. You can test your hooks, your on-screen text, your captions. If you're going to test things, make sure that you're adding notes at the end on exactly what you were testing. Because if you're trying to test one thing in particular, you need to make sure to document what that was so you don't write off an entire format or an entire subject based off of something that was completely unrelated. If you've not already, go check out Haley's account. I'll tag her here. And then when this posts to Instagram, I'm gonna have to redo it on the Instagram comments because the tag doesn't always transfer.